Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, we have some interesting news this evening, as we always do. I came across this report. It's about a 12-year-old boy who was praising President Trump at his school. And the teacher asked him why he supported our president, because he's a racist and a pedophile. That was not real nice to tell a 12-year-old boy in your middle school class. When 12-year-old boy recently spoke up in class to express his support for President Donald Trump, his teacher tried to humiliate him in front of his classmates, but it didn't end well for her. Child was shamed by the teacher for supporting Trump. Jackson Cody is a 7th grade student at O'Malley Innovation Middle School in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Earlier this month, Cody found himself being targeted by his teacher after he dared to express his support for President Trump. While the class discussed the debate between the president and Joe Biden, he went and said, "I just feel like our country wasn't in a great place." He told WBZ TV, "I just wanted to learn more about Donald Trump because it seemed like he was making our country rise again and become America again." However, the 12-year-old boy quickly learned that publicly supporting a president in any way is considered to be offensive in many circles these days. The teacher asked, "Who supports Donald Trump?" Cody said to WHDH TV, "And I was the only one to raise my hand." He added that a few kids were going to raise their hands, but then they heard the teacher say to me, "Oh, Mr. Jackson, I thought I liked you." Things only went downhill from there. "I thought I liked you." What kind of teacher is this? She don't need to be teaching our young people at all. Not with no attitudes like that. You're teaching communism, because we have a right of free speech in this country, and you cannot put down people for supporting the politicians or whoever they want to support. She could have said, "I support Yogi Bear." What would you say to him then? It's none of your business. If this is what he comes off saying, maybe he wants to support Yogi Bear or whoever. Then she asked why I supported a racist and a pedophile. Cody recalled adding that she also said, "I am ashamed of any woman who voted for Donald Trump. And I told her my mom and one of my grandmothers voted for Donald Trump." Other students quickly followed their teacher's lead and turned on Cody, who was stunned that the educator did nothing to stop them. "I was just upset because other kids in the class were ganging up on me," he said, laughing at me, and she was laughing and wouldn't say anything to them, he said. "She should be fired and she should not be allowed to teach at all." I had a teacher like that once in my school many years ago, and he's gone now, but he should have never been an educator to persecute students. Cody family fights back. Once Cody went home and told his parents what had happened, they decided to fight back. They enlisted the help of the First Amendment attorney and demanded that the school apologize immediately. Cody's parents stood by their son for expressing his political views in this way. "We tell them to stand up for yourself and don't be afraid to speak your opinion," the boy's father, Jay Cody, said. "Their opinions are theirs. They're not our opinions. They're very rare. They're very well-read children. They like to educate themselves on their own topics. Unfortunately, they do disagree with us very often." Once her intolerance against political views that differ from her own fully came back to bite the teacher in the behind, she finally apologized to Cody. Gloucester Public Schools Superintendent Ben Loomis also released a statement expressing his disappointment over this incident. He says, "We always want our students and staff to feel safe and that their point of view is understood and respected," he said. "Every day in our schools, we strive for tolerance, understanding different perspectives, and being civil." And he said the staffers are going to undergo training for this situation. Loomis added the staffers in the district will undergo more training next week on how to address controversial topics with their students, something that came as good news to Cody's family. Now, this should not be a controversial topic. This man's the president of the United States of America. But what makes you think this child is going to feel safe even wanting to become a president? If he know that you as an individual can persecute the person who sets and commands over our entire government, over the armies and the military as well, and you disrespect him, this country is really sunk to a low point with this allowance of people to disrespect our leaders in this way. You even have reporters calling President Trump Mr. Trump. No, you don't do that. When President Obama was in office, they didn't do that to him. They called him President Obama. And they should call President Trump and stop disrespecting him. I was so upset with Savannah, whatever her name was, when she was interviewing the president the other night. Certain topics, politics, religion, even sports nowadays can sometimes be discussed and can very much make kids feel uncomfortable, Jay Cody said. You would hope teachers could recognize that and take advantage of it in the opposite way. He added that if teachers do want to address controversial topics in the classroom, they stand in the middle and hear from both sides. As for 12-year-old Cody, he said that everyone has the right to their own opinion and everyone should respect that. You know, I had a situation I had one time where I had a college professor who tried to force me to write a paper. They asked for a controversial topic paper. When I wrote the paper on a controversial topic that she didn't agree with, we were in a Christian college, a Christian-run college, Judeo-Christian values ran this college. And so she came out and told us that we have to take a perspective that we didn't agree with. Well, needless to say, this is a private institution. That teacher was fired until she came back and offered a letter of apology for her behavior. She was not allowed to come back. You know, you cannot do these types of things. If you work for the public school system, you must respect the opinions of people. I'm sorry. If I work for a private school and we have a certain standard that we go by, as far as the Constitution goes and everything else, we have to respect people's right to free speech. We don't have to agree with them, but we have to respect their right to free speech and to express themselves. Well, we're going to take a short break right now here on the Black Conservative Voice, and we'll be right back with you in a moment.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
To every single mother, every small business owner, every farmer, every cancer survivor, and every woman out there who has ever been put down by the establishment, it's time to stand up. On November 3rd, we need you to write in Ola Hawatma on the ballot under New York 19th Congressional. Make history in the New York 19th District with the first woman to win by a write-in. Don't just vote. Make history on November 3rd, 2020. Write in Ola Hawatma.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. And I'm David Colbert. You know, in any other situation in this country, and even with people like Steve Bannon and some other individuals that were arrested for reported or were threatening for arrest for some type of fraud issue or whatever, I want to ask this question. Maybe you can answer this for me. Why is Hunter Biden still walking around a free man? Why has he not been indicted for these charges? Why is President Obama, Vice President, this to go on in this country? If there were Republicans, I guarantee you they would be in jail right now. Just for an inkling. Even if somebody accused them of doing something wrong, no proof. Just like they took our president and ran him through the ringer, and they had absolutely no true proof that he had a quid pro quo. Yet they had it on quid pro quo Joe. And did they bring him up on impeachment? Did they bring him up on charges in the Senate or in the House of Congress? What do you call it? The intelligence. Well, it's supposed to be intelligence. Well, Adam Schiff is not intelligent. So they brought him up. They didn't bring him up. They didn't bring him in there. He was out of office, but still he did something that violated this country's rights. He should be brought up along with his son on treason charges. Treason. Whenever it comes to truth, we find that the Democrat Party screams Russian disinformation, as they are doing right now about this revelation received from this laptop, reported by the New York Post. Director of National Intelligence says, Radcliffe says on the morning Maria Flock business show, he said allegations came from the Intelligence Committee, the liar, of course, I call him the liar, Adam Schiff, and he says, you know, that this is Russian misinformation. Wow, what a surprise. Is anybody surprised? No, I'm not surprised. There's no intelligence there in that committee, especially with Adam Schiff as its head. No intelligence was shared with Congress, Radcliffe said. No intelligence of any kind was shared with Adam Schiff. It's like this, and I was telling someone today, it's like the story of Esther. And if anybody know the Bible, you know the story of Esther. She was a Jewish queen. She was when she married a pagan king, but she was a Jewish girl. And she went in, she was chosen by the king. There was a gentleman there named Haman, and he didn't like her uncle. So his uncle didn't respect him, didn't bow down to him and worship him, Democrat. Didn't bow down and kiss his feet. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Anybody heard that? Joe Biden? Okay. So what I see is like this, people, and you know, if you know your Bible, you know this. President Trump is like Mordecai. They set up these stocks to hang and to cut his head off. But here comes Biden and the Democrat Party, who I'm calling Haman, because they built a gallows, and now the gallows is about to come down on their own neck. They're about to get their heads chopped off for what they're trying to do to Mordecai, who has lifted this country up, who's taken us forward, and who's prospered this nation. Just as Mordecai did for the king back in those days, helping the king out to keep somebody from killing him, so has President Trump did to protect this country against people who hate this country, including the Democrat Party. You hate this country, especially Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and all those idiots sitting at the top. They could care less, and they're going to get hung on their own gallows. They're going to get hung on their own gallows. Mark my word. It's okay for black men to be placed in prison for nonviolent crimes. It's okay for Joe Biden, is his law thing back in 1994, his prison thing, and this Kamala Harris, who put a lot of African American men in jail while she was the Attorney General of California. Guys, why are you even considering voting for these people? They're crooks. They're criminals. They try their best to destroy the good in the society. They're standing behind communists. Look at Kamala Harris. She doesn't deny it. She's behind BLM, a Marxist organization, stated Marxist. And she's talking about being our vice president. If they get any votes this year, I will be surprised. If you stand behind these people, they hate you. They hate the African American people. I don't care if it's Kamala Harris. To me, I don't see her as 100% African American. I don't think she is. I don't see her that way. She's light-skinned. She has a certain color or whatever, but that don't make her black. And she don't have to vote for me. But I'm saying this. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they're only thinking about one thing, and that's the Benjamins. Nothing but the Benjamins, baby. As long as the money's coming, as long as the money's okay, as long as they can use the taxpayers' money to work out their own plans and screw us around, that's what they do. They need to go to jail for treason. I'm sorry. But Hunter, okay, this is what this section I'm calling this right now. I'm sharing parts of another article. But I'm calling it this. Hunter and Big Papa run a game on the U.S. with Ukraine and Communist China. Big Papa being Joe Biden, also known as what do you call him? The big kahuna. I don't know. What do you want to call him? The big guy. As they stated, the big guy. Now there's some secrets out about the Biden family business. They are no longer secrets. It's easy to imagine Joe Biden asking the same question about Robert Redford asked in 1972, the film The Candidate. After winning a Senate race he didn't expect to win, Redford turns to his handler and wonders, what do we do now? And that is where Joe Biden is. He don't even know which way he's going. He don't know what state he's in half the time. He was in New Hampshire, say he was in, what was he, Vermont, he said. I'm looking at that, man, you're not in Vermont, you're in New Hampshire. Says, here, you know where he's at. Then up until now, the Democrat presidential nominee has gotten away with fiction that never talked to his son, Hunter, about Hunter's suspect business dealings in Ukraine and China and elsewhere. He's gotten away with it. But people, we know now. Why is he still getting away with it? Why are they not behind bars? Why is Hunter not in jail? If he was Steve Bannon, they would lock him up. Why are they not taking in Hunter Biden? Why don't we see him on the news being taken in for his criminal activity and treason against our country? The repeated claim was never credible, especially when it was revealed that Hunter flew on Air Force Two with his dad, Big Papa, to Beijing and came home with a $1.5 billion commitment from China Bank for new investment. So you're going to tell me the former Vice President Biden had no idea what was going on. Now, I got to understand it right now because he's suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. But I think back then he was pretty well alert. He knew what was going on. At least we hope so. So they flew to China and back together and were supposed to believe the father never asked the son who he was seeing in China and why. Come on, man. Come on, man. As Joe like to say, Joe knows nothing. Joe knows nothing defense has now been exposed as a lie. The post-publication of the email for Ukrainian advisor Burisma proves that this is all a big lie. They've been lying the whole time. The whole time. Hunter was on the board for up to $83,000 per month. Him and his partner. They were being paid by Burisma. And the man went to jail. And Hunter still didn't have sense to leave the company. At least if he had left the company back then, he could have said, well, I found out about the corruption and I left. But the fact of the matter is Hunter didn't even leave until way after that man got arrested. I think he said he was there for about another year or something like that. You're in a corrupt company And when a corrupt person hired you, they got pictures of you leaning over talking to this man, a criminal, a money launderer. Oh, I'm sorry, he probably was laundering money. That's why he's paying you $83,000 a month, because you sure did not have the knowledge to work in an oil and gas company. What's that about? In the email, Vladimir Podolsky, or whatever his name is, thanked Hunter for setting up a meeting with the vice president, which Vice President Joe Biden kept denying every time the President Trump asked him, everybody asked him, and he said, no, I don't know that man over there. Almost sounds like Bill Clinton when he says, I never touched that woman. She didn't do anything to me. Then you find out she was given fellatio in the back of the White House office, in the Oval Office. Oh, yeah, I don't know him. If we get away with it, I don't know him. I didn't know that person was in the car to me. I thought they were a woman. I didn't know they were something else. Then the man goes and says, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me the opportunity to meet your father. And they spent some time together. So Joe Biden aides do not dispute this email. But what do they say about the lie that Joe Biden's been telling all this time? They said now that they don't deny the two men met. What was the problem? What were you afraid of? You were afraid of going to get locked up and put in jail for treason. Really, I think somebody better do something, because people will get away with all kinds of stuff. And I'm praying that President Trump does do something, because this needs to be dealt with. Else you'll have other people trying to do the same thing in the government. Get away with murder and then have it, which that's already happened already in the Democrat Party already. But their only defense is that there was no such meeting on Vice President's official schedule. That's a loophole big enough to drive a Big Mac truck through. We're going to take a break right now. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth.
Hunter Biden joined the board of a corrupt Ukrainian energy company for over $80,000 a month while Joe Biden was vice president. In China, Hunter joined the board of a private equity company funded by the state-controlled Bank of China. In Romania, Hunter Biden represented a businessman convicted of massive corruption. The question is not why Hunter Biden used his name to get these gigs. It's why Joe Biden let him do it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I'm Greg Raths. As a veteran, current council member, local businessman, I know our community. As your congressman, I'll fight to reduce healthcare costs, keep our cities safe, and our communities healthy. Our jobs protected, our economy growing, and our nation defended. Orange County is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but together we can make it even better.
Vote Greg Raths for Congress.
I'm Greg Raths, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. So Joe knew a lot, and the public deserves the truth about what he did and what he helped his son monetize the vice presidency. Still, my sense of where this story is going is in the next few days is that the Ukrainian angle will not be the main focus. This is coming from, I believe it was Radcliffe. China will be, if the emerging pieces of the puzzle fit together as has been, China's information will come out. And I believe I haven't got the later letters, but I believe now that China's information has come out. Americans will learn that the entire family was making money off Joe Biden's prominence, including Joe himself, by making deals with elements of the Chinese government. Once again, the Post was the first to open the door. This is time by the publishing the email showing that Hunter and Jim Joe's brother, were part of the group trying to set up partnership with the Chinese individuals involving energy projects and perhaps American infrastructure. Millions of dollars were being discussed, making deals and windfall for Biden's and a propaganda coup for China. What did Trump say? A vote for Biden is a vote for China. You vote for Biden. Put him in there. You might as well go put your little caps on and put your little, I don't want you to keep your Chinese mask on because you're going to need it. Because you put him in there, he's going to tax you to death, send the money to China, and then make you wear a mask and stay locked up inside your house. If this was anyone else, as I said earlier, they would have been indicted and talked about on the news constantly. The mainstream media is avoiding the topic altogether. The reason why they avoid it is because they've been bought by the Democrats, and all they're bought to do is to foster lies about President Trump, not the truth about former Vice President Biden. Tell the truth, media. Stop lying. Have some guts. Except they're lying in your pockets. That's probably why you don't have the guts to push out the truth. And I appreciate Wolf Blitzer. He let Nancy Pelosi have it the other night on his program because of her lying to the American people, trying to skate around everything, and everybody's scared of her. Wolf had the guts to challenge her. Watch out, Wolf. I don't know what these people are up to. They're capable of all kinds of things. So please watch out. The email sent from one American partner to Hunter and two others detailed large cash payments to partners as well as eventual equity stakes. Then it says in there, listen to the email. Hunter, referring to H, was to get 20%, and a deal listed 10 Jim and 10 held by H for the big guy, or Big Papa. Big Papa wanted the money. You know, what's that song? Big Papa. Here comes Big Papa. Big Papa Joe. You know, I don't want to say too much about it. My dad was a Joe too, but Big Papa Joe, he got the kickback. And he's sitting back there, and right now he's paying. God doesn't like evil. Sources have confirmed to Fox News that the big guy was Joe Biden. Oh, man. How sad. Now, second, and mere fact that Biden intended to make money by working with China after leaving the White House is an explosive campaign issue. And right now, Facebook, Twitter, and all these liberal news media people trying to be publishers are going to get in trouble. You're going to find yourself before Congress. You can block me if you want, Facebook. It makes no difference. I still go out on two other networks. But you have the problem here, and you need to face it. The Democrat called it smear campaign and berated the reporter for asking the question. That's not going to work. Good reporters won't be intimidated, and voters are likely to smell a rat if he's not willing to answer legitimate questions. By now, Biden should know that there are no such thing as a stupid question, only stupid answers. So we're going to take a short break right now, and I'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. The developments are also a test for big media and big tech companies that operate a Biden protection racket. Facebook and Twitter blocked users from sharing Post's initial report, his New York Post initial report, an outrageous example of political meddling for their efforts the companies were rewarded with congressional subpoenas and testified this week. Now, Facebook and a few other media outlets have been trying to also block my program, because on this program I speak the truth. I'm not hiding nothing. I may not have Facebook and these people pushing me up. They may be keeping people from sharing my messages in my show, but it's gonna come to you. Keep it up. You want to get a publisher's license and be charged with hiring people for publishing? You know, maybe they need to make you a publisher since you want to block certain people from having free speech. The CNN, the New York Times, and the broadcast networks are trying to help Biden by ignoring the story or knocking it down. And you see it, the darn, they didn't ask him nothing about that when he had his town hall. They wouldn't let nobody in there say anything about it, say anything to him. Washington Post columnist David Ignatius went full bore Saturday for defense by offering a preposterous view that Burisma tale isn't a scandal but part of a personal tragedy for Vice President's son. Compounded by this, oh boy, I wish I had $1 million tragedy. Millions of dollars. It's a tragedy to get 83 grand a month. 30 or so thousand over what the middle or low class, average middle class American family makes. But it contradicts this week's dissemination of what looks like a disinformation about Joe Biden role. Could someone tell me why Hunter has still not been arrested for treason with Daddy, Big Papa? It's true that Hunter Biden's drug-addled life is worthy of sympathy, but that doesn't absolve him from griefing off his father's government power, and certainly doesn't absolve his father if he violated oath of office and public trust, in which he did. He's going to keep hiding it. But the thing is this. Why are you trying to blame it? Come on, Ignatius. Why are you trying to blame it on Hunter? Come on. Hunter's not the only one responsible here. Everybody's trying to protect Joe Biden because he's getting old and he's losing his faculties. But he's wrong. He was wrong when he was in there, and as they were saying here, that was the deep state line in 2016. And it worked so well then, they just asked Hillary Clinton, and she couldn't keep putting it out. Disinformation. Well, finally, we're just going to go over this short thing right here. Joe Biden's polling edge over President Trump eroded this week, which he had no polling edge anyway. He's a false, trumped up polls as they always like to have. Talking about Hillary Clinton was way ahead, and then President Trump clobbered her. So much for the polls. Joe Biden's polling edge over President Trump eroded this week amid the post-scandalous revelations about his son Biden's foreign dealings. Don't blame it on Hunter. Hunter was using his dad. His dad was allowing himself to be used. But the Democrat candidate still maintained now this is a lie. He don't maintain no substantial lead. He maintains the lead in some phony poll that trumped up. Emails reveal how Hunter Biden tried to cash in big on behalf of the family with a Chinese firm. And once again, stop blaming Hunter for everything. His father was the one who was the vice president. They probably would not even talk to him unless his father was beside him. They paid for that meeting. Nobody ain't going to tell me that wasn't true, and they paid, and they continued to pay, and he stayed there until he received all the payments were due to him. Tell me he didn't. That's why he waited a certain period of time, because he knew he had to get all the payments that were due to him. His other friend left. I think the other one also left too, shortly after that. But Hunter stuck around. People, if you don't know what you're dealing with, I'll look at this man. I see a drug addict, a former drug user, problems. Nothing wrong with having been in that life, but a consistent life with continuing a life of crime, which is this is really pointing to. I know they don't want to admit it, but it is pointing to that.
Do you care about Black lives? I do. And unlike the people that currently run Baltimore, I actually have a plan to make life better for Black people here. Walk with me. I want you to see this. I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This city was once among the most prosperous, populated, and powerful cities in America. So what happened? Our leaders abandoned us and Baltimore fell into ruin. But it doesn't have to be this way. None of this has to be this way. A broken Baltimore does not have to be our future. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I see the city differently.
I walk the streets of Baltimore and see what could be. I want you to see what I see. I see Baltimore that picks up trash. There are piles of garbage all around Baltimore. It makes life unsafe for our families. I'll work with city leaders to get Baltimore's Solid Waste Bureau the resources it needs to take out the trash.
Our streets should be a reflection of our leaders. Clean, not dirty.
Much of our trash gathers in abandoned homes. There are over 17,000 abandoned buildings in Baltimore. They are a scar on the face of our city.
I will support tax credits and incentive programs to give residents a chance to buy and rehabilitate these homes. Everyone deserves a safe community and a chance at home ownership. Let's put the charm back in Charm City.
Who will live in these homes? The newly employed constituents of Baltimore City. This district needs more jobs. The best way to get them is by having businesses invest in our community. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gives federal tax incentive to drive private investment into opportunity zones just like Baltimore. Who will work in all of these new jobs if we don't have an educated workforce? 9 out of 10 Black boys in Baltimore are not reading at grade level. Over a dozen high schools in Baltimore have zero students proficient in math. This is a tragedy. We can end the school to prison pipeline with school choice, providing parents with options to escape schools that do not serve our children.
Let's make Baltimore better for our kids. Isn't that the point? That's my vision for Baltimore. The corrupt leaders hate it. They attack me for taking a stand, for wanting better for our people, our children, our communities. But I'm not the only one who wants better.
Tens of millions of you have shared the struggle of Black people in Baltimore. You lifted our voices. You cared about our Black lives more than our own Democrat leaders. They have done nothing for us. Now they can't hide. It's time for change. We are that change.
I'm Kim Klasick, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about Black lives. All Black lives matter. Our communities matter. We matter. And Baltimore doesn't have to vote Democrat.